It's Chef Andrew Forlines with chefaf.com, and this is another episode of the Modern Kitchen Podcast, where I am your guide to the selection, purchase, and use process of today's modern home kitchen appliances. More technology than ever before available, more brands and styles and models to choose from. So here I am to demystify the process, help you navigate that journey, getting your package for your home kitchen best suited for your needs and so that you can select it with the confidence. Today, we're gonna take a closer look at steam ovens. Just wanna mention today we are in the Inspire Kitchen Design Showroom here in Denver, Colorado, part of the IDC, International Design Center building. Beautiful showcase of kitchens. It's an open floor plan, 3-story showroom where we have all the things you would need for building and designing your own home. So we have lighting in this, kitchen design Inspire here. We've got water faucets and features, flooring, artwork, rugs, all kinds of things. So it is meant to be your one-stop shop for your premium home decoration and build out. So check it out if you are in Denver. And thank you to Inspire Kitchen Design for having me in, and our friend Angela runs that and is a fantastic designer. So talking again about our steam ovens, convection steam ovens, combi steam ovens, whatever they may be called, they're where we use a convection oven. We also have a steam generator. So it can be a full steamer, or it can be a convection oven, or it can be both at the same time using both of those technologies. So we get a really controlled environment in the oven, and we're able to control things, cook things precisely. So if you're not familiar with a convection steam oven, they come from the restaurant industry. They come from banquets and large-scale production. We have had them in the industry since the 1970s. The gold standard in the commercial side would be Rational. They're a German company, and they make what we call a combi oven. So we call them combi ovens because it's a combination of dry convection heat and moist, humid steam generation. So in the home application, they're going to be a bit smaller than a standard oven. They are getting larger, but keep in mind that using steam are going to cook much quicker than a convection will. So it's more about precision and control than it is about power and volume. When we talk about steam ovens, we talk about it being a full steamer. So at a touch of a button, I can have steam to cook. I can poach fish, cook vegetables, do grains, even pastas if I want. So you have that steamer right there in your kitchen, ready to use, which is much easier than, say, a pot of water with a basket over it, or creating your steamer on your stove. You're gonna have that right there. So what I always recommend people do is get comfortable with the steam aspect first. Just start steaming some things for your meal. You can steam, you can roast in another oven, and you can saute on your stovetop. So that's, 3 divide and conquer, 3 different things. And then you're able to start getting comfortable with the use. The steam ovens also are convection ovens. So they could be your supplemental oven, a spillover, say you're having a large gathering and you still want 2 ovens. What we're seeing a lot now, instead of 2 convection ovens, especially the double stack wall oven, we're seeing it going towards a steam oven on top and then a regular convection oven underneath. So that gets you the best of both, gets you quite a bit of volume for when you have those large parties that you're gonna cook for. But talking more about the technology, you do have the convection. You're also gonna have the combination mode. So when we're able to control the humidity and the steam in the convection at the same time, we're able to roast things and keep them from drying out. So when we think steam, we're thinking wet, moist, it's gonna keep things soggy, but that's not the case. We can control on some of our steam ovens the humidity percentage points. So you can say low, medium, high steam, or you can set it to 10%, 20%, etc., which is going to enable us to roast. So I can do roast chicken at, say, 10 or 20% humidity. I'm still going to get browning. I'm still going to get crisping of the skin, but I'm going to keep that chicken from drying out. I'm going to keep it nice and moist. Here in Colorado, we have a much drier climate, and things want to dry out because of the elevation. Moisture evaporates at a lower temperature. So it's really important to make sure we keep things moist or find a way to prevent it from drying out. I call it the everything oven. It definitely is the gold standard in restaurant and hotel cooking, because we're able to program the percentage of steam, the convection. You're going to be able to steam, say, creme brulees and puddings without having a water bath, because we're going to inject steam in there. We're able to do all kinds of fantastic, precise cooking with that. When we get water involved, so water's 800 times denser than air, which means it's a much more efficient medium to transfer heat. So we can control the temperature with less variance. So again, talking about dry ovens and the oven variance, the temperature variance. A dry oven, say we set it to 350 to bake. 350 is the average temperature it's going to want to try to maintain, but it's going to turn on and off the heating element like a home furnace, and it's going to have peaks and valleys, right, of heat and cooler times. So we call that temperature variance. The nicer the oven, the shallower, the smaller that variance is. But even your premium ovens are going to be about 5 degree above or below what you set it to at any time. Your entry-level ovens are going to be 15 to 20 degree variance above or below. So that's a 40 degree swing potential. And it's not really going to tell you where it's at in that heat cycle. Well, this can really cause fallen cakes, dried out cookies. Some recipes may not come out the way you want because you're not exactly sure where it is in that heat variance cycle. But when we get steam involved, we've got a much denser medium to transfer the heat. So we're able to maintain a temperature more consistently because we're replenishing the heat through more molecules, right? We're getting that steam, we're having that water pass through the heating element and maintain that temperature. So when we get steam ovens, when we start using that steam application, we've got a 0 variant or half degree variance, right, of fluctuation of heat, which is phenomenal. So when we have a moist environment, we've got that water, we've got it 800 times denser than air, that transfer of heat is much more consistent. The medium of transfer is really important when we're cooking. So we have the temperature and we have the transfer rate. So think of a boiling pot of water, you put your hand over it, you're gonna burn right away because that steam is so thermally dense. But if you think of a 400 degree dry oven and you open it up, you can put your hand in and you're not gonna feel that heat for a second or two, right? Well, that's because it's got the temperature is higher in the oven, but the transfer rate is much lower. So when we start getting denser heat environments, when we get a medium that can really transfer that heat, we're gonna speed up the cooking, right? And so that's what steam ovens are really able to do. Even if we're roasting and baking and just adding a little bit of humidity, a little moisture, we're gonna get a better, more precise, more consistent heat output with that environment. So that enables us to do some really amazing things in the steam oven. Quite a few of the steam ovens, now they all vary a little bit by brand, so you want to make sure that you get the features and functions that you're most interested in. Some brands are going to have sous vide cooking. So sous vide cooking, just so we're on the same page, for those that don't know, sous vide it's just French for under vacuum. That's all it means. So sous chef is under chef, sous vide is under vacuum. That means we're gonna put food in a food grade BPA-free bag, and we're gonna get all the air out, and we're gonna seal it under a vacuum, right? So either you have a suction-based, like a countertop plug-in suction food saver style sealer. So that's gonna suck the air out of the bag and heat seal it. So that heat bar is gonna melt the plastic together. Or you have a chamber vacuum. Now this is the industry standard that we have. Chambers are gonna suck the air out of the entire cavity, the whole chamber that you put the bag in, and then it's gonna heat seal. Chamber and suction are a little bit different. Suction's limitations are that you can't really have too much liquid in the bag. If you do, it's gonna suck the liquid up to where you're gonna heat seal it, and that's gonna prevent that really good seal with the heat melting the plastic together. So you can't really do wet packing like you would in a vacuum chamber. You also can get air pockets, so air, if there's food that has little air pockets in it and the vacuum suction can't pull all that air out, you might have air pocket. And that really can impede our ability to sous vide cook because it's a low, slow cooking. We actually want it to be an oxygen-free environment in that bag. So if you can get a vacuum chamber, and now they're coming in a drawer format, in a lot of premium brands have those to complement the steam oven, you're able to pressurize the entire chamber and get a really proper seal and a proper oxygen air-free bag sealing. which also can then create pressure. So we're able to marinate and quick pickle things. We're able to infuse flavors a little bit better. You're able to actually compress some soft fleshed fruit. So if you've ever had compressed watermelon or any kind of melon, that can be a really fun technique to make it a bit denser. And you can't do that with a suction-based vacuum sealer. You can only do that with the chamber style. So it is worth mentioning those differences. And what's great about complementing those with the steam oven is quite a few of the steam ovens now are sous vide compatible, which means it has that low, consistent heat output, water-rich environment. So we get that transfer rate of temperature and a consistent temperature. So we can actually go, say, you're in the 100 degrees to 150, 180 degrees, 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're below steam temperature, which means we're able to control that temperature and maintain it. So when we're cooking in sous vide style, you've got your food in a bag, usually flavored or marinated, or have some kind of herbs or something in there to really infuse its flavor. You seal it and suck all the air out. Now we're putting it on the steam oven rack. This is going to eliminate having an immersion circulator, which a lot of people have now for sous vide cooking, which is a heat pump and a water and heat pump. So it pumps the water across the heating element and is able to maintain that. So traditionally you have a water bath that you put these bags in, but now the steam oven is fully sous vide compatible if you get a model that has that setting. So right there we've eliminated an appliance, the immersion circulator. Steam oven also has controlled heat and humidity, so we can say culture yogurt in there. You could dehydrate things, so dehydrate veg or do beef jerky if you want. Some of the steam ovens are going to have broilers, that are going to be able to brown at the end. You wouldn't do that with sous vide, but if you put something in there that you bake and then you want to brown, or steam bake and then brown, you can do that. The Miele brand, which is a German brand now, they make a steam oven. They make an XXL, so they make one that's a bit larger than quite a few of the others. And it has I've found the most comparable functionality to the Rational. So it's got that calibrated steam output. I can do percentage points and I can do precise temperature control. And with those, we're starting to do roasting with the internal probe. There's plug-in probes in most of our ovens now where you plug it right in, or it can be wireless and you put it right in your roast, your meat, and it's going to give you a real-time readout of temperature as you're cooking. So you can set, hey, I want this chicken to alert me at this temperature, as opposed to doing timers and checking constantly. So really nice to have all that built right in. So the Miele, I'm very familiar with. I've used it quite a bit. I've used a lot of the other brands. So Subwolf has a steam oven. Thermadors, they've come out with a newer one that's much larger than their older version. Fisher Paykel has a steam oven. GE has released a steam oven recently. So we're really starting to see market embracement of it. And what we're seeing is consumer embracement as well. So we're seeing a lot of people that are educated around the steam oven and say, hey, that's something that sounds like I can benefit from. And this technology is tested and trusted. It's been in for decades in restaurants and hotel use. So it does have the legs on it, has the background. It's going to stay around. It's not a fad. It's a technology that enables you to do more with your cooking. So the Miele steam oven, we're actually able to program, and some of the other brands will let you do this too. We're going to program phases, okay? So I can have different phases for different humidity points, different temperatures for different durations, or using the probe, I can, say, trigger the next step when it gets to this temperature. So I could program my own 3-phase, 4-phase, I'm not sure how many you can do up phases, but what we could say is, say I have a frozen lasagna, I could put it right in the oven. I could say, hey, I want you to humid defrost with a little bit of steam at a low temperature for an hour. And then once it feels, you think it's gonna be defrosted, you can program, say, hey, I want you to bake for 45 minutes. And then I want you to broil for the last 5 minutes to really brown that cheese at the end. You're able to stack those different phases and program a whole meal, a whole cycle, if you will. And then you can save that in your menu so you can have it for next time. Now, they also do come with some pre-programmed recipes, so quite a few recipes already built into your oven. You can say, hey, I want to cook this chicken, and it's going to ask you how much does it weigh, What kind of cut is it? Is it a whole chicken? Is it a chicken breast? And you let it know what you have, and then it's going to prompt you on how to cook that, and it's going to program the oven to be at the right temperatures for that. So we're able to see a lot of this automated stuff. A lot of it's built into the steam ovens, where we're able to get those features and functions to show us how to do it. One of my favorites would be the bread settings. So traditional bakery ovens, they're having some kind of steam component in their big dry oven to start with steam. It's really important to start our bread loaves with steam. We inject steam into our bread ovens. This enables the crust to develop. So water and flours is how we get gluten. So it develops that nice thick gluten crust, but also lets the bread stretch as it rises, okay? So it's really important to let it be wet when it starts so that it can stretch and we get that nice full crust all the way around our loaf or our baguette. When we bake bread in a dry oven, a lot of times it'll start to crust, it'll start to develop that hard outer shell while it's still rising. So you'll get that split seam, you'll get that split crust, and you also get a dry, thin, brittle crust when we do a dry oven bake. So that's why a lot of times we're seeing people miss their bread in their oven, or even cooking it in a Dutch oven, because the Dutch oven, the container is going to contain the steam that comes out of the bread, and it's going to kind of self-steam that way. So the steam ovens a lot of them are going to have that bakery setting, so we can do a bread bake, and it's going to have pre-programmed loaves and styles in there. So for me, the steam oven is the gold standard. It's the everything oven. It's what I really love to play with, because I'm able to do full steam, full convection, any mixture in between, and I can have a lot of programmed bread cycles, meal cycles. Some of them will even alert you when to make the next step to put the next item in that you're cooking. So really fantastic product here that we're seeing the steam ovens come into their own. We're seeing a lot of people embrace it. And like I said, tested and trusted technology from the restaurant space. That's what we're familiar with in fine dining. So I hope this was a helpful episode for you to learn a little bit more about steam ovens and what they're able to do. I am easily to be reached at chefaf.com. You can set up a consultation if you want a private one-on-one virtually to go over your kitchen design project. I also have webinars that you can sign up for and some downloadable resources. So check out chefaf.com. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Modern Kitchen Podcast. Really appreciate you listening along, and be sure to share it to anyone that you think might benefit. And we'll see you on the next episode, when we're going to go and talk about induction cooking, so induction burners. So we'll see you then.